Writing expressions. This lesson is, I guess it'll be a building block to solving word problems. What we're going to do and what we're going to explore in this lesson is translating English phrases into mathematical expressions. For example, if I were to say, find a number or use a number and find another number 5 more than that number. So I just want to say find something 5 more 5 more than a number. 5 more than a number. Now this seems to be an easy phrase here, but it's actually made up of 3 parts. First part is the 5, okay, which in math is just 5. Then you have more than. Now the opposite of more than would be less than, and more than we think of adding. If we want to add something to something else, then we're going to end up with more than we started. So we're going to add. So a plus sign, and then a number is our third part. And a number, in algebra, we can represent any number with a variable. So a number we can represent with A, B, C, X, Y, Z, basically any letter. And if you can think of a letter, you can use that as a variable. Or you can even use symbols sometimes as variables. You can have something like that, or you could even use a smiley face if you wanted to. But all of these could be considered variables. So the 3 parts, we have 5 plus a number, 5 more than a number. So we can write it as 5 plus A. Or we can write it as A plus 5. And both of those will give you 5 more than a number. You're adding 5 to a number to get your result. And if you wanted to check, you could plug in a value for A. So let's say A equals 2, for example. It's not always going to be the case, but for an example, A equals 2, we would write 2 plus 5, which is going to give you 7. So you add 5 to a number, and you get 7. And that's what we're doing here. Okay, now what if it's a subtraction? Let's find an example for subtraction. Well, you would just use less than. You could write 3 less than a number. And I'm not going to write out number because I'm running out of space here, but 3 less than a number would be, you could use a variable for a number. So let's say B. So B is our number. Less than would be a minus sign, and then 3. So we're going to actually take 3 away from a number. So 3 less than a number. So this one, you got to make sure that you put the variable and the number in the correct order, because you don't want to say a number less than 3 by accident. And this can be sort of confusing, but if you think about it, you're saying I want to find something or some number, find something that is 3 less than a number. So you want to find something that's 3 less than a number. So a number, you're going to start with B. So that's our number, and you want to take 3 away from it, right? Because that's going to give us something less than the number that we started with. So this is going to give you B minus 3 will give us 3 less than a number, because b is the number. Okay, I hope this makes sense. It's a little confusing. But if we put in a number for b, let's say 5. Let's say b equals 5. And you could put in any number. I'm just using 5 as an example. But in this case, you would put 5 in for b, and then you would take away 3, and you would get 2. And 2 is 3 less than a number. 2 is 3 less. And how about this? I'll move the screen over a little bit. Okay, 2 is 3 less than a number. Okay, and what was the number? Well, the number was 5, because we're saying a number was b, and then we're saying, well, what if b is 5? So we're starting with our number 5, and we're trying to find something that's 3 less than that. So we take 5 minus 3, and you get 2, which is 3 less than 5. Okay, I hope that makes a little more sense when we actually put in the numbers. Okay, now what if we had something that was multiplication? So a phrase that could be multiplication you could say times. So you could say, what is, say 3 times a number. And just like the previous example, it may make more sense to think of it as we're going to find something that's 3 times a number. So find something that's 3 times a number. And we're going to start out with the number. And let's call it x for this one. So 3 times a number, or 3x. That's going to be 3 times a number. And then what if x is, let's say x is 7. So it would be 3 times 7. Well, what is something that's 3 times this number? 3 times 7? It would be 21. Okay, but if the question just says write an expression for 3 times a number, all you're going to do is write 3x. Okay, so that represents 3 times a number. Just like in the previous one, when it's 3 less than a number, find something 3 less than a number, you would just write this, b minus 3. And then in the first one, where it's 5 more than a number, 5 more than a number. Now this one you could either write a plus 5 or 5 plus a. Depending on your math teacher or the test, either one should be right. They're both going to get you the right answer. I would probably write the a plus 5 because you're starting with a number and you're trying to find something 5 more than that. So you'd start with the number and add 5 to it. But both will give you the right answer. Okay, now the only thing we haven't done is division. So let's do division. And one way that you may see this written in English would be divided by. You could have a number divided by, so a number divided by 5. Okay, how would you write this as an expression? Well, a number, we know that's going to be a variable. So a number, let's say m, and you can use any letter, divided by, well, this could be division, or you'll see we could write it as a fraction, and then the number 5, or divided by 5. So we could write it as m divided by 5, right? That would be a number divided by 5. Or you could write m over 5, And this would also represent a number divided by 5. And then to check this, you could put in, what if m equals 15? Okay, well 15, that's going to be our number, right? M. So we're saying, what if we have a number 15 divided by 5? Well, that's going to equal 15 divided by 5, which is 3. Okay, now there are other ways to see this in English. You could see something that says, how about a number goes into another number? Let's say, how many times does 5 go into 15? Or how many times does 5 go into a number? Well, you would write it the same way. But most of the time you're going to see it this way, a number divided by 5. Okay, now that should help us kind of get a start on working with word problems.